Let's go. Nigga, we go hard. Look how we bogart this game. It's so ours. You hear it, it's so harsh. Time to get this bread, cause for years it was low carbs. Hit a storm brewing, jump aboard before it starts. 40 days, 40 nights, still no Noah's Ark. Watch how we flood them, get to running. Now on your mark, set, ready, go. Better hope that motor starts invade.
What's up, good people? It's your man, the Creole King, and hasangodking, and they call me great. And this is episode 2 of the Trial Run podcast. We named it that because back. 1 minute we could decide we don't want to do this no more. So we're going to just enjoy the ride while we on it. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to kick it off. Again, we back. We're going to rock it out like that.
Let's go. For sure, man. Yo, so what's been going on since the last episode? What's the feedback? What's the assumptions, the opinions of what we've been doing?
Man, I'm getting a lot of good feedback, bro. Like, people loving it. The topics are provocative. We kind of, we seasoned men, so our perspective on it is going to be very our perspective on it is going to be very, very enlightened and laced with experience. So it's not like we just shooting off at the mouth. Pause.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Shoot. Ooh.
You are.
Anyway, I'm telling you, look, preemptive pause for this whole episode.
Because you've been drinking. I've been drinking.
1 glass of wine don't count, bro. I promise you, dog. It gets worse.
I'm crying already, man.
Yo, what was crazy about this weekend for me, bro?
Mm-hmm.
Friday, my son had his first school dance. He's in 4th grade. And they had a sneaker ball at his school. So I went and got him a little suit, and he had his little, black and white Adidas on, and I gave him some sunshades. I let him wear one of my watches. He just thought he was the flyest thing in there. But what was funny about it was watching him interact with his peer group. Mm-hmm. Like he slick like the man. And
really,
yeah, like I mean, I'm not surprised. Like he's a charmer like I am. You know what I'm saying? But I don't get to see that side of him. I still just see my son. And to see him as like somebody other people think is just cool or like, fly or whatever. And that's dope. I don't know. I was super proud. I was super proud. I said, look at this nigga.
You think that's the same feeling our kids get when they see us around our peers and they like, oh, people like my father? He's actually cool? Like, yeah, he knows some stuff?
He told me some of his friends Googled me.
Really? Because you Google.
Oh, wow.
You're Googleable.
You Googleable?
Yeah, I'm Googleable.
Did they see you on Apollo?
Yeah, I don't. Nah, they ain't see me getting that kind of money, son. They ain't see me getting that kind of money. But
you saw his Apollo video?
Nah, I ain't see it, man.
He was out of control. Man.
Yeah,
he was out of control.
But that's the episode we didn't win. You gotta. I wish we could see the one we won. Because I was a lot more tame. Oh yeah, bro. Bro, they should not. But what happened behind the scenes, like we filmed it all the same day. But we did have change of clothes and stuff like that. So it was like, yo, man, they really feeling you, man. You got to give them a little bit more. Why he tell 18-year-old Cardell that? Right? Bet. This what I'm going to do. I'm going to come out there with a jacket on with no shirt under. That was my mindset. So I'm already on cloud 9 because we just won at the biggest stage in the world. You know what I mean? Right. And man, Steve Harvey lit me up, bro.
Yeah.
Lit me up. But I ain't care.
Yo, he was on it like Casey from Jodeci.
What?
So,
wow.
He was like,
so I gave him that shoulder, son.
Yeah,
the sad thing, I was holding the microphone, right? So because I was holding the microphone, I couldn't get the jacket all the way off, so I just took it halfway off.
Hold up. But no. You didn't have it just hanging out the side of you.
And yo, I only had one tattoo at the time, and that tattoo was on this shoulder. So this the only shoulder they got, the tattoo shoulder.
He gets like a shoulderless blouse.
Oh yeah, they gonna get the shoulder lean. They gonna get the shoulder lean.
Oh my God, dude.
What's up with you, Big O? How was your weekend, man?
Man, my week was good, man. My week was real good. no stress, no nothing, man. I'm just looking at things differently. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We got this podcast going, good things is happening. Yeah,
for sure.
Man. Bless.
You got any feedback on your end as far as like
not from too many people, but the feedback I did get was good, man. Like everybody's happy and proud. Like, yo, you always got something going on. I love this. So yeah.
I love it,
we
man.
got good things, man. Good things coming.
Of course. Got to keep things in motion, man. My week has been really good. You know, I don't know if y'all guys saw, but I went ahead and bought me a bike.
Yeah.
Like a whole bicycle. Like
that wasn't no regular bike, bro. That's a bicycle.
That's so go ahead.
So you got to be safe and everything, right? But I ain't gonna front, man.
The helmet was wild.
The helmet, yo, listen.
You gonna be out there looking like trying on that bicycle.
I was like, you know what, my man's safe. All right, cool.
He gonna have elbow pads, knee pads. So be out there looking like a Ninja Turtle.
All right, so let me just give y'all some context, man. I always got to give y'all context.
Yeah, you got to, man.
Have me out here looking crazy. So I've been wanting to do this for a while, man, and I just never had the time. I was always doing something else, but something for me. So this was like one of those things that I'm doing for myself. So I reached out to an old colleague from an old job I had, and she's a biker, and she was like, "Dude, I got you, but let me hit you back tomorrow because I'm drinking right now." Like, so I was like, all right, cool, let me leave her alone. So she hit me back the next day and she gave me this, advice about what kind of bike. And I told her, I said, my range is about $600. You know what I mean? I didn't want to spend too much. I'm thinking like, that's a lot of money. She's like, oh no, that's like on the low end. I was like, oh, so you talk about 600? She's like, after a while, that's a good start. But after a while, you probably going to spend like thousands. And I start looking at the bikes. Yo, they got bikes in there for like $2, $3, $4,000.
Yeah.
I'm like,
man, you better be riding that mug to work.
Yo, listen, man, with the helmet on, right? Like,
you gonna be like the dude off of Independence Day.
Drive all the way to DC with
Jeff
the
Goldblum.
Come, right? He saved the world, though. So
he did on a bike,
on a bicycle. So I've been so excited just thinking about buying it. So once I got it, I get there, I'm like, okay, I just spent the money on the bike. He's like, so you want a kickstand? And I look at the bottom of the bike, it's no kickstand on. I'm like, oh, yeah. Kickstand comes separately these days. So
a la carte,
brother, like a hors d'oeuvre, like an appetizer. I'm like, oh God. So
like
I bought
cable
a kickstand. Like cable channel. Oh, they need that. So I get the kick. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna need a kickstand. He's like, oh, you could just stand it up by your, the back tire. I was like, no, you're not doing that. So I get the kickstand. He's like, anything else? I'm like, okay, the lights and stuff. He's like, you gonna get a helmet? I'm like, oh yeah, I need a helmet. I might need to get a helmet. So we go get the helmet. He gets the medium. I'm looking at the medium. I'm like,
he was trying to be modest.
He was trying to be modest. He was trying to be modest, brother. I was like, he's like, just try this. So I feel like he was just
offend anyone.
I don't want to offend anyone.
But this extra large over here.
Oh my God.
So we
snuck that one in there on you, son.
Yeah, you ain't sneaking in. I saw it when it
hit
the door very abrasively. I'm just gonna let you have it. So he goes and he gets the helmet, man, and it just sits on top of my head, and it ain't snug nothing. It just sits on top. I'm like, yeah, this ain't gonna work, man. You see this thing right here, man? This is different right here. So we get the large helmet. It fits in there, man. The helmets is like over $100. So you spend this on the bike, and then you spend almost another $300 on accessories. It's like, yeah, I done spent like a rack in here already. I ain't even pedaled not once yet. So I still was excited, took my little picture. And after I looked at the picture, I was like, yeah, I look like a lame, but you know what? It's so good. I'm like,
lame? I didn't get lame, son.
Let me tell you something, man. I used to laugh at people with bicycle helmets on, man. And I'm looking at myself and I look like, oh, wow, I look like a lame. But when I look at the details and like the deeper meaning of it, it was a happier moment for me. But lame, I just throw lame out there just as jokingly, but I didn't feel like a lame. Like I felt like I accomplished something. And for me now is just meeting people who are into the same stuff and really getting deep into
community.
It's a whole community of people who bike. And like, I got a cousin, I didn't even know he was into it. Like, but he was like, you want to be a bike rider or you want to be a cyclist? And I'm like,
man, a cyclist.
If you go to his Facebook page, man, he does cross country stuff.
So he's a cyclist.
He's a cyclist. He's Lance Armstrong.
Wow.
He's Lance Armstrong, man.
Leg strong.
And that's part of it. But that's the other reason why I'm doing it, because I'm like, okay, I'm about to hit the gym real big, but at the same time, it's like sometimes the leg workout isn't as deep as the upper body workout. So that's my cardio and my leg workout for me. So that's gonna be part of my thing. Yeah, man. So it's something that I'm excited about. But listen, man, we here. Second episode. We still running this trial run. We excited. So, just kind of let's hit the ground running. You was talking about your son, and I think that was something to really get into. So let's talk about it, man. Because I think you all of us have a great feeling when we're talking about our kids, especially as fathers to sons. But how does parenthood really hit you? Like, did your perspective on parenthood change when you became a parent, or it kind of stayed in pocket with where you are now? Anybody can take it.
Well, yeah.
You go ahead, Biko.
For me, I just kind of fell in line with how my mother raised me. You know what I mean? She was just focused, disciplined, and she had this like no nonsense. I fuck up, get my ass whooped. You know what I mean? She'll preach to me about a certain situation and then step back. If I bump my head, I bump my head. But always there to support. I don't care what I said I was about to do. Whatever I tell her I'm about to do, as long as it's positive, she's right behind me, number one cheerleader. So I carry that same thing on with my kids. So I can't say they changed. I just carried on this same thing I knew growing up. So,
what about you, Cardell?
Well, I think the biggest thing that changed in me, I never forget. It was one moment. I had two kids at the time. This is right after Aaliyah, my second born, was born. I had like $20 in the bank. Right, that's it. And I'm in the parking lot at Walmart, and I gotta buy a pack of pull-ups for the older one and a pack of diapers for the little one. Wow. And that's my last $20, right? I remember calling my dad, and all I simply said is, "Daddy, I understand now." I didn't have to expound. He just started laughing. Right? And when you're a kid, your perspective is, man, why are they so mean? That all you see is the limits. All you see is what you can't do, right? You don't see what you're being protected from. You don't see why your parents have the perspective they have until you're the one doing the protecting, right? And I think it was that moment that I understood what it meant to be a covering, what it meant to sacrifice, what it meant to give your last. And I felt the weight of everything he had done for me. Even, growing up from a broken home, I saw the space that he covered. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And for me, as I got older and understanding, I'll say it this way, understanding my imperfections as a man, I was able to have more grace for their imperfections and what I viewed as their immaturities as parents from my immature perspective, right? Because when you're a kid, you think your parents supposed to be perfect. In your mind, they have all the answers. They have unlimited resources, right? You're not even thinking in terms of what those limits are. You're not even thinking of some terms that no is just, I don't have it. You thinking it's just no because they just don't want to buy you that toy.
Right.
Right. So I think that's the biggest thing that changes, the grace you give them. And it's because you stand in those shoes in need of that same grace. So now you understand it.
That's a fact, man. It for me, it changed when I saw my son come into this world. It got scary for me because when you leave the hospital, you realize the nurses ain't coming with you. You're like, oh wow, like, oh, he's ours. And my son was premature. He was 5 pounds, like even, no ounces, just straight up. And when he came into this world, all the nurses are around us, and he was in the hospital for about a day and a half. So they didn't hold him because he reached that weight requirement. But when he came home, it was like, all right. And I remember my ex-wife, her mother, they Nigerian. So her mother was like, okay, so in their culture, the mother's supposed to come to the house and stay with the mom for about a couple weeks, maybe even a month, and help with the baby. And me being who I am and how territorial I can be about my space, I was like, nah, that's not happening. Looking back on it, I probably should have allowed that to happen. So I kind of regret not allowing that to happen, because it was a challenge for her just having a baby and also navigating school and being a wife. So, you know, I kind of took that away from her without me really understanding how important that could have been. But for me, as my son developed, it changed a great deal, because before I just didn't understand what my moms and my father went through, similar to what you guys were saying. And for me at the time, it wasn't really a money issue more than it was an attentiveness issue. It's like, I don't know why this kid is crying. Like, I used to have to get up at 5:30. He would always start crying at 5 o'clock, right before the alarm clock hits. And I remember telling them one morning, he was doing it again. And I was like, hey man, y'all gonna have to go in the other room. I said, y'all gonna just give me a second. Yo, I was a lot more unfiltered then, right? I was like, y'all gonna have to go in the other room, because I'm not getting no sleep. And she did it once, and then the next day she was like, nah, we made this baby together. I ain't going nowhere. And I got videos of my son just screaming his lungs out, man. But then as he gets older, he starts to develop. You realize he could do a lot of stuff on his own. But now we're entering another phase in his life where now he has the attention deficit disorder, right? Like, he has that, but it's not like a little bit, it's a lot of it. And then he just got a psychological evaluation to see if he has like bouts of autism. Not like to where he's not on the spectrum, right? It's not like he can't function, but the results came in a few days ago, and yeah, he's on it. They just don't know what part of it he's on. So that's the part of parenthood I didn't bargain for. And when I think about it, I get sad, but not sad for me, more sad for him, because I'm like, his navigation through life is not going to be the same as mine. It's going to be a lot different. It's going to come with different types of challenges. And now I'm finding myself being a lot more patient with him, because I know that his perspective and how he views life is through a completely different lens than mine. So that's kind of how my perspective changed. And it's like an evolving perspective, because it's not the way it was when he was first born, not when he went to school, and it certainly isn't the case now. So, and I know it's just going to keep on changing, man. So it's scary, but I welcome the challenge, because I think it's going to allow me to grow and become not only a better father, but a better human being, and have me being a lot more patient with people in general, because I can tend to be a little bit, Aries seasons is approaching, and and Aries, we kind of be like, yo man, look, get out of my way, just kind of let me eat. So I'm feeling good about what's on the horizon for us. And I'm just hoping that, I can be the best that I can for him as he becomes an adult. When you think about it though, do you think that we happen to our parents, or did our parents happen to us? Like, what's that blessing like? Do you think, how do you think it happened?
I think both. And here's what I mean. People could say, when you plan your life out, when you're young and naive, right? You be saying like stuff like, okay, I want to be married by 25 or 30, right? I want to have kids by 31, because I'll be ready for kids by then.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as ready for marriage, and there's no such thing as ready for kids. Those things happen, right? That's just a part of the course of life. You meet people and you converge on a life together, or a pathway together, right? Sometimes that pathway is for the rest of your life. Sometimes you diverge from each other, right? But I think the naivety of not knowing what is coming is what makes us say we're ready, right? To your point, right? You might have been ready to have a child, but you had no even inkling of what it would be to have a child who's on the spectrum for autism, or a child who's growing up in a totally different environment than you grew up in.
Facts.
You get what I'm saying? Because they would need different tools to make it in the environment they're growing up in from the, versus the one that I grew up in. The one I grew up in was aggressive, so I had to be aggressive, right?
Gotcha. Yeah.
So I can't instill that in aggressiveness or that aggressive, just that thing that helped us survive the hood, if you will, right? If they have that here in this environment, they're bullies.
Yeah.
I don't want them to be bullies. I'm not raising victims, but I'm also not raising victimizers.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? So that's how I see that, bro. But as far as our parents happening to us, I think we're happening to each other at the same time, because the choices the parents make affect the children, and the choices the children make affect the parents.
Yeah, I agree, man. I say the same thing. I say both. It's a locked situation. We're all living off experience. You know what I mean? And a lot of people, they grew up with their parents because their parents were young when they had them. So it's all happening at the same time.
My wife's mom and dad was 16 when they had her.
See what I mean? So yeah, they grew up together. You know what I mean? So
yes,
they happened to each other. So with me, my mother was 36 when she had me, so she wasn't that young. And she was focused, disciplined. I don't know if she planned me. We never spoke about that, but she was like really, really disciplined. So I happened to her. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
I happened to her. But
the doctor's office like, oh, I'm pregnant. Oh, okay.
Word.
Yeah.
I'm a little ready for this.
Yeah, and she had her hands full with me.
Oh,
yeah. And I was the 8th child. I know she probably was like, I didn't stop at 7. You know,
was you the last one?
Beginning.
Last one. Yeah.
The number 8
one is always the last one's always the.
I'm number 8.
Number 8 is new beginnings.
Yeah, exactly.
The 7 is completion.
That's why I went with the GR8 thing. You know what I mean? There's meaning behind that number. Yeah.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think somewhere in heaven we choose our parents. I think we choose them, and for whatever reason, I don't know why I chose my parents, honestly. I mean, I got a lot I'm joking when I say that. My parents are pretty dope, actually. They weren't hard on us, speaking as far as like too much discipline over the years. I think when we were younger, they were more disciplinarians than they were as we got a little bit more into ourselves. Growing up Muslim, there was a lot of discipline delved out through the belief of Islam. So it's like Islam is a very disciplined religion. Like, you gotta have certain things in order. It requires a whole lot of organization. So, anything from talking back or not having things together, that required a lot of discipline. And if you stepped out of line, there could be some verbal or even physical repercussions behind that. It didn't last. I remember my cousin used to tease us a lot about my mother beating us on our foot. That was her thing. Like, she'll just like grab our foot. She'll just beat our feet. And it's like, what is wrong with you?
She leaving no marks.
Yo, that's why you wore the black socks?
The black socks.
That's why I wore the black socks, man. Listen,
and she had no idea the trauma she was running into.
The trauma she created from beating me on my foot, man.
Black socks.
It was just a very weird thing. But my mother and my father are actually pretty cool. They're real laid back. I remember the last time me and my father had something when I was a young kid. I started getting these grades that wasn't really reflective of what I was getting. Like, I was super honor roll student. But then one day, my cousins and them, they used to call me a nerd all the time. And I thought, back then you think a nerd is whack, right? So I remember getting some good grades or getting a bad grade or something happened. And I went home and I just started crying. Like, I'm tired of being smart. And like, I said, I'm tired of being smart. And I don't know what was happening with me. Like, I would never do that now, but I said, I'm tired of being smart. And then my mother and my father were saying something to me, and I'm like, I wish I was adopted. And I stormed out, and he came up behind me and grabbed me up. I remember I had a blue hoodie on too. I had a navy blue hoodie. I remember everything.
A trial run hoodie?
It might
It was destined.
It was destined, brother.
Oh, he got an origin story for the trial run.
I got an origin story for these hoodies, brother. Listen, and he grabbed me up real crazy, man. And that was the last time we even had that interaction. But I also remember that was really the last time I got the greatest grades of my life until I got to college. Of course, I got way better grades than that. But my parents, you know, I think I chose them. I don't know why. Like I said earlier, I think more or less it's because of the discipline and the experience that I had growing up in Queens. It's certainly prepared me for a lot of stuff that I experience now as an adult. Like a lot of stuff just doesn't surprise me out of people. I think my disappointment comes from people not being the way I am. So when they don't move the way I move, it's like, how could you not? Like, I'm not saying the way you move is wrong. I'm just saying there's a better way to be moving out here. And
I'm Haas.
Because I'm Haas, and like certain things come with this, like it's certain levels of integrity and character that I carry myself with. And when I don't see it in other people, I kind of get disappointed in them. And I feel like a lot of it has to do with how my parents raised us. And I think Islam has a lot to do with that. So, you know, when we was having conversations about religion one time, you was talking about like the difference between Christianity and Islam. Like, and Biko, I don't even know if you really recognize. I know you got some Islam in your household, some of your brothers or somebody.
Yeah, so I mean, we grew up Baptist, and then my brother Malik, who I'm heavily influenced by, he was a Muslim at one point, but then he's not anymore. He's just a political activist, and he don't really believe in, you know.
He's Matula.
Yeah, right.
He's Matula.
Right, exactly.
He's Matula.
And I took on some of that. To this day, I'm still like searching. Never really searched into Christianity, but more Israelite. The Israelite for a little bit. Right now I'm reading the Quran, so I kind of like bounce around. I'm like searching for answers, you know what I mean? But I believe in God. I just don't believe in religion. And something in me is keep searching for it. Nothing is connecting with me. Keep searching, but nothing is connecting. I'm waiting for that thing that says, yeah, this is it, and nothing feels that way. Now, righteously, man, and you know.
So I grew up Muslim. I talked about it in the previous episode. I just talked a little bit about it now, being that discipline. And most of my family was Christian. Then we got some Jehovah's Witness in there. But for me, Islam versus Christianity, as far as like what's the difference growing up, something I always believed, and Creole, you can attest to it or reject the notion. I personally believe Islam is a more disciplined religion than Christianity. It doesn't really give you a lot of wiggle room to go outside of the box of the covenants of Islam. You pray 5 times a day. You read your Quran. You go to Jumu'ah on Fridays. That's pretty much the equivalent of church. You give your zakats. That's sort of like tithes, but you make your pilgrimage to Mecca. Now, I know some Christians make a pilgrimage to, I think, Jerusalem or something. I know some people do it, but I think
it's not required though. Like
it's not required. Like for Islam, for Muslims, it's required. Like you, at least once in your lifetime, you got to make a pilgrimage to the holy city of Mecca and pray and make your rotations around the Kaaba, which is believed to be the burial site of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So with me in learning Arabic was my first language growing up. I didn't know English. Even being born in Queens, New York, all my parents did was speak to me in Arabic. So I always felt like somebody who really didn't belong with everybody else. And they instilled that in me heavy early on. So even with my cousins and them being Christians, I always looked at it like they still was kind of like allowed to roam within the world. Unlike us, we was like, we had to be in the house certain time. We didn't wear the same clothes. My mother was making our clothes when we first came around. We didn't eat the same food. My mother was on that vegetarian, vegan stuff in the 80s, right? That was our lifestyle. So, and she was always switching it up. So I always felt like it was attributed to the Islamic religion and the culture that came with that. So I always believed that Islam as a religion and as an upbringing was way more disciplined than Christianity, because it put us in a box of don't step out of that, else you'll be castaway, shaitan, Allahu, all that stuff, whereas Christianity just gave you more room for space to kind of figure it out. So what do you think, Creole?
Well,
he had to breathe for that
one. So first and foremost, belief wise, the difference between Christianity and Islam, I'm not a typical Christian who has no knowledge of Islam, right? Mm-hmm. I've read the Quran, right? I understand what you guys believe in versus what I believe. The biggest difference, belief wise, right, is the deity of Jesus, the triunity of God. We believe that the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost is three different personalities of the same God, right? We call that the Godhead, the Trinity, right? Mm-hmm. That's different aspects. And you go back to Genesis 1:1 for us in the Bible, and all three of those aspects are at work in that one scripture, right? Which is the first scripture you read in the systematic Bible, which is not necessarily chronological, but it's systematically arranged a certain way. I'm not a theologian by any stretch of the imagination, but I am one who has tried and tested my beliefs, right? Now the practice of your belief, the difference will be grace, right? For us, we cannot be perfection. So that's where Jesus' sacrifice covers that, right? For us. What I see in Islam, and it's not a judgment, it's a perspective, right? Mm-hmm. It's works based, right? I know we believe that faith without works is dead, right? And that's true, right? Mm-hmm. But for me, with Islam, it's like you pray 5 times a day. You go to Jummah on Friday, like you said, and just different things in the practice that makes you guys a quote unquote good Muslim, right? And for us, another dynamic would be there's so many schisms and beliefs, and I know y'all have that too. Y'all have Shiite, Sunni, y'all have the Nation of Islam, y'all have Ansar, and the 5% Nation, which is also an offshoot. That's the same thing. I mean, I know it's different, but I guess that would be the same thing for y'all as Jehovah's Witnesses for Christianity.
No, I mean the Nation of the Israelites. Yeah, right? That's more like Israelites, and the Nation of Islam is more like Black nationalism.
Yeah.
Like they say the Nation of Islam, but in order for that to be the case, they will have to study the Hadith, which they don't.
Right, I got you. So it's more theology where y'all differ.
Yeah.
Right. So for us, like you got Baptist and you got Pentecostal. Those are the two kind of like especially in the Black church. Right. Mm-hmm. Pentecostal is the ones that believe in, the fivefold ministry, which is like operating in the gifts of the Spirit and stuff like that. Right. It's like where you get the speaking in tongues, the prophesying, stuff like that. And you got Baptist, which goes straight by the Bible, line upon line, precept upon precept. If you can't trace it in that Bible, Baptist ain't doing it. So it's like all of that, to me, from my perspective, is more divisive than it is unifying.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying? So I think it's on, and this is my belief. Everybody is working their way to figure their thing out personally, because it's really about a personal relationship to you and your God. You know what I mean? And we got all of these different testimonies, whether it's the Bible or the Quran, to pretty much like make sure you on point. Am I making sense?
No, it's a roadmap. Absolutely.
Exactly. So
those books are roadmaps to how to live your life.
Yeah.
But but it's like we all veer off from those roadmaps though, right?
Absolutely. But that's where grace comes in for us. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So when God look at us from our belief, he don't see us, he see that we've chosen Jesus, and that sacrifice is covering us. Oh, okay. You get what I'm saying? And it's not that because you still pay for it. And it like, okay, say if you how could I put it? If It's
because when I look at, even you think Catholicism, it's an offshoot of Christianity, and they're allowed to repent for every sin that they have, right? They can go into confessionals and they two Hail Marys, to Our Fathers, and then it's like, and that's how it's perceived to be. So how does that work?
That's not for that. Every sect, if you will, of Christianity don't believe that, right?
Okay.
You can trample grace. Born again. I mean, they consider born again Christians, okay, but it's the practice of Christianity that differs with them. They still believe the same thing we believe as far as what it is to be a Christian, as far as belief in the triunity of God, believing in the sacrifice Jesus made, and just different things like that, right?
Okay.
However, we don't believe in confessing to a priest, and a priest can tell you how many Hail Marys. And I'm not knocking nobody's belief, so I'm big on that. You can't argue belief.
You should be able to, because some people be believing the wildest stuff, man.
But I mean, how you gonna argue that when it's something in them says that is working for them? You get what I'm saying? Like whether okay, Islam was passed to you from your parents, right? So you have their testimony and your own that you've lived while you believe what you believe. The same for me with Christianity. So
I agree.
Somebody might believe that elephants are gods, and that was passed down from their parents.
But
the
elephant is sacred in Buddhism. The elephant is sacred in India.
But it's not worshipped as a god, though, right?
No, it's not a deity.
You see what I'm saying? But either way it goes, it's still a belief that somebody has and they hold it dear. You can't argue that. So all any of us can honestly do is just be as good of a example of what we believe as possible.
Okay, I got you.
You're not what you say, you are what you do.
Yeah. Period. What do you think about some of the fights that occur between the religions, even if you throw in Judaism, for instance? Like, what do you think that's about? You think that's more about human beings, or is more about ideology?
Absolutely about human beings, and it's absolutely about control and leverage. I don't think God needs us to fight for him. I believe he's all powerful, bro. You get what I'm saying? Bro, if God wanted all of this changed and all of this different, he could do that. Just like he spoke the universe into existence and formed man with his hands, he could do. I believe he is all powerful. I believe he is all present and all knowing, right?
So you believe there's a divinity that's guiding everything here on this planet? You think there's a divinity?
Yeah. I subscribe to that belief, yes.
Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. And that's being Muslim. I think that's part of the hijacking of the human brain and the human behaviors, that we put the grace of God being around us as the thing that's going to drive us to these greater heights, and yet we don't invest enough in who we are and the greatness that's in us to drive ourselves to those heights. I think we lean too much on religion and ideologies and faith. So like this right here, that what we're doing, this happened because we said, let's do it. And we just went ahead and did it. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't pray to Allah, I didn't pray to God. I ain't asked Jesus or Muhammad about this. I just said, Hassan, man, something got to give. Let's go ahead and do it. So when you can get that out of yourselves and you see the results of it and you feel the energy moving you to keep on doing it, why we keep giving credit to something we don't even know or believe to exist?
I believe the stuff that we do pray for is on the other end of the work that we put in.
Mm-hmm.
So you get down, you pray, you put in the work, you see the results of it.
Look at it this way, right? Okay, y'all in the Quran, y'all had the story of Moses, right? It's Musa in the Quran, right?
Musa, right, yeah.
It's the same story as we have as far as him parting the Red Sea, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or him, God parting the Red Sea. Anyway, he prays to God, the miracle happens, but he still has to take it upon himself to lead the people through the dry land. You get what I'm saying? So there's still work on your end, even after the prayer is after the manifestation of the prayer or the promise, right? Whatever.
So what do you think the power comes from, the prayer or the work?
I believe it comes from the faith. That's what I believe. Yes.
So the prayer, the faith, and the work.
Yes.
But you need it all.
You need it all. It all works together. That's what I believe.
It sounds convenient, though. It does sound convenient.
I can't help that.
It sounds very convenient. And I'm not saying I don't believe in a higher power.
No, I understand what you're saying. You're saying, but that speaks more to how you said Islam is more disciplined. It's more doing. It teaches y'all to be self-motivated. It teaches y'all to be to take more of the accountability of what you do and what you don't do. That I will say, and another thing, you guys are way more knowledgeable about what y'all believe than a lot of Christians are, right? A lot of us just accept the excitement of the belief, the shouting and the dancing and the different things y'all see on the videos that you see of church, but that's not the whole story, right? When you're talking about grace, right? When we a lot of us, when we holding ourselves accountable, you got to give yourself the grace of knowing that I'm only human. There are limitations to being human, right? There's a limit to the energy you're gonna have to complete a task, right or wrong. You're gonna need rest eventually. So there are limits, right? That grace covers the limits.
Do you think that grace is needed for connection? Like when you initially connecting with people, do you think that you got to give people grace in that first impression? And this is not even a religious influence question. This is just about grace, period. Because you mentioned grace several times while we was having that conversation. What do you think the limit between, or the line that's drawn between grace and just realizing that somebody just ain't your cup of tea? You go ahead, Biko.
I don't know. I don't think I've put any thought to that.
Okay.
I think in terms of we all need grace, bro. If there was no need for grace, then we wouldn't show up as a representative to be accepted. We wouldn't give so much ground in the beginning for them in order to connect. You get what I'm saying? So I need grace just like the person I'm connected to need grace.
Right.
That's
for me, it's certainly, I don't believe in first impressions. I believe in lasting impressions. So when I first meet you, it's going to be something off the rip that I'm not going to particularly gel with, because that's just how I'm wired. I'm looking for what I don't like more than what I do like. Because like you said, people.
So you going in waiting for the other foot to drop.
I'm very suspicious by nature. I've seen too many people switch up in the neighborhood growing up to where it's just like, but
so it's a trauma response, you would say.
Absolutely, it's a trauma response. I just seen the behaviors of people who supposed to be friends turn real violent real quick, and they end up doing things that you can't fix. And it's just like, what's that about? Where did that come from? And it's almost like, that was always there. Sort of like what we talked about in the beginning. We talked about progressive revelation. Like it was always there. You just didn't see it. So you just so caught up in the goodness of everybody. So that's why I feel like grace is good, but it's dangerous. So I allow myself the grace. That's who I give grace to, me, to fill you out before I really even let you know a little bit about me. Because when we met, remember, you was telling me everything. Yeah, Haas, good to meet you. You telling me all about music stuff. It was probably a month before I even told you about rap.
I didn't even, but I'm more of an open book, bro. I just don't subscribe, and it's not, and that could be a bad or a good thing. I'm not sure, right? I'm sure sometimes it serves me, but part of that is the reason we even here today.
Exactly.
You get what I'm saying?
And that's what I was going to say, because I'm like, it serves you in the sense of being able to connect with people and allow you to reach them in a way that they probably wouldn't even reach back out to you had you not presented yourself like that. Because had we just kept it Delta or wherever the hell we was working, I would have just been like, all right, cool, you good, bro. I holler at you, man. But the way you opened up over time, I was like, he seemed like he's solid, man. Then we started talking. And I was like, okay, we kind of the same, you know what I mean?
Yeah, a lot of similarities.
All right, cool. I could rock with him, you know what I mean? He a little lighter than me, but it's all good, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm more peanut butter. He more like DJ Envy. You know what I'm saying?
No, I'm not beige, bro.
I'm just
Now in the summertime, I'm almost Biko color.
Oh yeah, right.
Damn.
Bigo got
a long time to get over here, buddy.
Bigo got that camera room going on.
Maroon. Emphasis on the maroon.
So, and I think and I think Bigo is very similar to me, and you can attest to it or reject it. As far as the grace you give people when you first meet them. Because I know you connect pretty good with people through especially through the gym. What do you do?
Yeah. So I don't think so much about grace or connection. Vibe the same way like I'm looking for a religion. Like when it hits, I just know. There's certain people I'll see, and as soon as I see their face, I'm just like, I just don't like their face. That may sound crazy, but I just don't like something about you.
You got a face I should punch.
Yeah, I just don't like your face.
You know, I wish I could blink and it's different.
Why you look like that?
Certain people you see in this, their mannerisms, how they move, like son look like you're a cool dude. You know what I mean? And then you find out like your vibe was right. Like so everything's vibe for me, man. Like it just has to feel right. So I guess that is connection. But I don't go in the way you like highlight, yo. I'm looking to see, like, yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that.
I've learned about myself that sometimes my first impression is not right.
Damn,
not that I don't have discernment, right? But sometimes I could be looking at the situation through the wrong lens, right? You know the situation I'm talking about.
You got glaucoma.
I got glaucoma, AR-15 coma, all of it. So we was at work and we had a situation, right? Now, I'm very friendly, right? Up front. But when somebody cross me, you're gonna get every bit of that accent, and you're gonna get every bit of that uptown, that Shrewsbury, all of that. You finna get all of that, right? And it's because I know that I gave you pleasant off rip.
Yeah.
So when you rejected the pleasant, now I gotta get ignorant, right? And that's how I'm trained, right? Not saying it's right or wrong. So this particular situation made me misjudge somebody. Now the guy ends up being really cool, but I was ready to jump out the window. You feel me? Like at work, like, bro. First of all, my nigga, you ain't finna play with me. You feel me? Don't think. Wasn't like I was ready to jump out the window.
Oh yeah.
You know, and I wasn't wrong, but my judgment of that guy as a person was totally wrong. But so that's where grace come in.
I don't.
You see what I'm saying?
I don't,
because I made grace. Great. Hold on, grace. I wasn't wrong.
But your assessment of him isn't wrong either. He's like that. That's how he is. Son. Like, and I don't particularly like it. Like I warmed up to him too, but I still don't rock. Like I don't rock with you.
Yeah, but see, that's where grace come in. That's the difference. That's another difference between me and you. I'm gonna give grace because I know I'm gonna need it eventually. You heard me? And the measure that you give it, that's the measure you getting it, bro.
I ain't gonna get it. I ain't gonna need it from him. So it don't matter.
See,
it don't matter. Some people, I don't want that grace. I want it exactly how it is. Like keep it a buck with me. I keep it a buck with you. If this is where we at with it, this is where we at. Don't play with me.
Right.
You know. And I think sometimes, I can dig that. Sometimes, honestly, dog, like people be playing way too much. And I'm not talking about joking and laughing type of play. I'm talking about they be testing you. And when you give people grace, you're basically telling them that that's okay sometimes. And I'm not here to tell nobody it's okay to be playing with me, especially when it's about something serious, about that respect. Like, don't play with me. I'm cool on that.
I could dig that, but I don't mind switching and giving them the, like, I'm not non-confrontational.
But once the genie's out the bottle, you can't put it back in. You can't put the genie back in the bottle. So when somebody show you who they are, yeah, you give them grace, but I know you got that in you now. I'm good. Go ahead.
Oh yeah.
But that's where it happens the most at though, at work. People try it. They figure, it's work, he ain't gonna do nothing. Yo,
we at the airport. I know he ain't got no hammer on him.
Yo, I'll be on the unemployment line, buddy, because
you at the car. You at the car after work.
Dog, it's so much metal and so many heavy bags around there, boy. I promise you, I got an equalizer somewhere around here. You feel me? Like you think because I'm small, Boy.
So we're talking about grace. So this is something a little bit different than grace, right? This dives deeper into more personal relationships, because grace is something you can apply to personal or relationships with people you don't, acquaintances and stuff. But what about like people you actually know, like, and you have an experience with them where the grace is not like you got the grace, but what about the forgiveness? Is absolute forgiveness possible when someone just straight up violate? And I'll take the beginning of this, right? So relationships and friendships to me require the same covenant, and they have the same rules of engagement to me. And I define it through 6 rules of engagement. And I'll try to remember them. It's trust, it's honesty, there's respect, there's commitment, there's loyalty, and there's safety. And to me, when you in a relationship with someone, they violate that through infidelity. There's no way for you to spin the block and become my friend, because the same requirement is needed in friendship. All of those things are needed in friendship too. So as you go through your process and the violation, and you get to the part where you have to forgive, and in therapy they talk about humanizing the experience, right? Acknowledging how you was violated, and then humanizing the person who violated you, right? And trying to make sense of what it could have been in their life that led to them being, whether it be a coping mechanism, a survival tactic. People make decisions that hurt you that really ain't got nothing to do with you. It's really about them. So you don't always have to personalize it, but in order to get through it, the forgiveness is for yourself first, so you don't have so much of an emotional connection to the violation anymore. But in humanizing a person, can you have absolute forgiveness, especially for something like infidelity, or somebody shot you, or beat you up, or punched you in your face, or disrespected you in a way?
What do you define absolute forgiveness as?
Absolute forgiveness to me looks like, yo, I forgive you for what you did. I hold no ill will or harbor any feelings about what you did. I love you. I care about you. All I want is the best for you. I can welcome you back into my life. You've been forgiven. That's absolute forgiveness. That means I can start anew with you and forsake the experience that led us to this point and move forward.
I would ask you this in response to that answer. Have you ever injured somebody you love?
If I did, they never told me.
The reason I ask that is because it's transactional, right? And that transaction may not be equal at the time of the exchange, right? So, and it may not even be the same person that you get what you gave from, right? So, and what I mean, like, okay, if I have injured somebody that I love, then I'm apologetic about the injury, right? That means I'm in need of forgiveness, right? But that's a very humble position to put yourself in, right? The person who the injured party gets to determine the degree of that injury. You get what I'm saying? I can't devalue the feeling of it and be like, oh, that wasn't that bad to you. But to me, it was everything. To me, that I haven't gotten over that event for years. You get what I'm saying? I had to work, and to us, it could be small things. It could be something you said to somebody. You know what I'm saying? That was injurious. Because I don't care what nobody say. Words can hurt, bro. If words can build, words can break down.
Words would definitely hurt you more than getting punched in the face. Because you get punched in your face and they be like, yeah, you bitch. They just like, oh, word.
It's gonna heal.
I might have to get the blicky for that one.
Bro, yeah. Ooh, I don't even want to fight. I want to shoot.
Yeah. Listen, you punch somebody in the face and then they talk about it. Oh man, it's like,
oh yeah, bro. And you every time you see me, you thinking, oh, that's the nigga I punched in the face. you got an automatic win every time you see me. Nah. But I say that because, bro, I'm a person that, like, I'm a twin, right? And me and my brother have the strangest dynamic, bro. Nobody can make me madder than him. Right? Nobody. But there ain't nobody I'd rather be in the trenches with. And it's because I know he knows my deficiencies and I know he gonna step in. You get what I'm saying? And vice versa. I'm gonna ride for him. I'm gonna talk crazy about him. You feel me? I'm gonna talk crazy to him, but I'm gonna ride for him. And in a lot of ways, our relationship is evolving because now we're in a safe enough place where we can start to discuss some of these things that have been buried for years. Like, think about it, bro. Your whole life, this person been there.
Yeah.
You feel me? There have been times we have deeply wounded and injured each other. And I don't love anybody like I love him. I'm not talking about as much, but there's nobody that I love like I love my twin brother.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? So
even though they don't really look alike, Biko,
we don't look nothing alike, bro. We don't even look like we live on the same street.
Oh shit.
You feel me?
Yo, but his brother is like a heavier version of him. It's like if Cardell was fat. Like, this is crazy. It's like it's the funniest stuff. He be doing like Barry White impersonations and everything.
Bro, he got a matter of fact, he got a big show coming up on the 6th of April.
I saw it on the gram. I was like, yo, he had the voice and everything. Hey, I want y'all to come out to see me on the
Shout out to J. Henry Live, y'all. Shout out to J. Henry Live.
Big shout out. Oh, that's April 6th. That's the day I'm gonna be doing that poetry thing.
Oh,
I wonder if it's the same spot. It's called I'll get you there.
No, he's on the east side. You out there in Douglasville.
Yeah, that's where I'm gonna be at. That's
whole different side of the world.
It is. But go ahead. So you think absolute forgiveness is key if you felt like you've agreed, but
I don't think it's possible.
You don't think it's possible? Okay.
I don't think there's a point where you absolutely forgive. I think you're constantly working towards it, just like we're constantly working towards perfection. And to your point, we don't reach that until we pass away from this plane, because this plane in and of itself is imperfection.
Facts. Biko.
Definitely don't believe it's possible, man. And there's always going to be. I mean, you can forgive to the point, like, because the way you just explained it, like absolute forgiveness. You know, I forgive you. I welcome you back in my life. I can forgive, but I may not welcome you back in my life the way we were before. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I can forgive us as far to the point that we're cool, we're cordial. You know, we can laugh and kick it. You know what I mean? But
now there's boundaries, though.
Now there's lines and certain things we ain't talking about. It's a line, a hard line drawn. It's definitely not possible. And this one triggers, man. Huh?
Does that hurt? Like, does that sadden you? Because I'm sure there's people in your life where that happened, and it's like, I wish this wasn't where we are right now. But this is
because
where we are
you mourn the loss of that vulnerability.
So some of those situations, it doesn't hurt. It's like, fuck you. I'm glad this shit is the way it is. You know what I mean?
Progressively revelated.
And then some of them is like, damn, man, yo, you know what I mean? Shit was real fly, you know what I mean? Damn, it's fucked up that it's this way. But yeah, some of them is like, fuck you. I'm glad it's like this. You know what I mean?
Wow. Yeah, I agree with that. So just in keeping with the whole forgiveness thing, and we'll round this episode out with this particular topic. And this is, I don't know why I find this funny, right? Because it reminds me a little bit of Chappelle's show with the guy, the white black supremacist. So can black people be racist? So we talk about absolute forgiveness, right? So
told you it wasn't possible, bro. I told you it wasn't possible. Because you go side eye him.
So for black people to be racist, right? That means, and we're talking about racist towards white people.
Anybody. Because racism isn't only black people and white people.
So that group will have to be minorities, and we're considered minorities. So how can black people be racist?
Woo. Okay, I see where you're going with it.
I want this one.
Go ahead.
So I just finished reading a book, called Stamped from the Beginning.
See, he gonna be quoting books and stuff now. Go ahead,
absolutely. You know, bro, if a book resonate with me, bro,
I'm with the big words resonate.
If it resonate with me, dog, I gotta give it up. You feel me?
Resonate.
Right. So in this book, it talks about the roots of racism, right? How, number one, it was not a black and white thing. It was a Greek and other thing. That's where it starts, right? The roots of it, the roots of one group being superior to another, right? And having systems in place to oppress another group, right?
Okay.
So with that being said, if the system is racist, right, you can subscribe to ideals of the system, but a person, I don't know if they can really be racist. You can subscribe to racist ideas. I used to say black people couldn't be racist because we did not have a means to oppress, right?
Right.
And to a degree that is still true. However, we can subscribe to racist ideals.
So we can be prejudiced, not racist.
Well, everybody's prejudiced.
Right.
Everybody's prejudiced, bro. Everybody makes prejudgments. Everybody.
Exactly. Right?
So prejudice and racist is two different things. They're similar, right? But they're not the same. With racism, how we can subscribe to racist ideas, right? When we say things like, say, if we see somebody who's speaking slang and another race group is around, and we be like, man, why are they talking like that? Why are you talking like that? You supposed to talk, speak proper English or just something like that. That's called uplift suasion, right? That's where you will be accepted as a black person if you do this, 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 and this, right? If you perm your hair, right? If you speak proper English, right? That's uplift suasion. That is a racist idea because it's born out of the idea that, okay, we want to be assimilated to this group of people. So in order to assimilate to this group of people, we got to talk like them. We got to walk like them. We got to move like them. We got to think like them. You get what I'm saying? So that's the way black people can subscribe to racist ideas. But I still don't believe black people can be racist.
So having the ideas doesn't mean that you're a racist.
Right. We all have, in one way or another, subscribed to racist ideas, though, through the vehicle of uplift suasion or assimilationist mindsets, thinking that, okay, the European standard is the standard that we should all be subscribing to, whether they're speaking proper English or whatever. You get what I'm saying? When we say that type of stuff, using your job interview voice, code switching, those things are assimilation.
Right.
So those are racist ideas.
But much of that was placed on our shoulders, the burden. Right.
Absolutely.
That's not something that we just came out the gate doing. It was part of a survival mechanism for a lot of us. I got great aunts who passed for white.
My grandmother was what's called Poisson Blanc in Louisiana.
Poisson Blanc. So that's like
Poisson Blanc, pass for white.
Pass for white. Right. So these are all survival tactics for generations of black people here in America whose
assimilation.
Or assimilation, who origin started, through racism and cotton fields. When you talk about racist is absolutely a system, right? It's about those in power being able to oppress or influence the majority of people and they did it by race. Now, I don't recall it being a Greek man that invented the idea of racism. I believe that it was someone of Latin origins, and it started after they couldn't get enough traction behind the prejudice that existed within religion, because at first it was about religion and the differences in religion, and then somebody, I forget his name, he was Latin, and he said there's a better way to do it, and that's how they invented the idea of races in general. Before that,
you talking about Ibn what's his name? Is it Khaldun?
That doesn't ring a bell, but it was a Latin guy who invented the idea of there being 4 main races on this planet. And that's kind of how that started. And then leveraging the idea that we're all different, because of the color of our skin to create this power structure where the hierarchy right there. Can Black people be racist? We certainly can't, by way of power and being able to leverage power over a people. But we certainly have embraced a lot of prejudice behavior. Cognitive biases are influenced through our own experiences in life. So we walk into the gate saying, oh, this white person is either better than me or this white person ain't shit, right? Like however you feel about it, you walking in through the door with it. And even for me as someone, I didn't really start mingling with white people until I moved to Georgia. Before that, all the white people was my teachers in school. You know, that's
isn't that convenient?
Right. So, you know, for me, that was a difference, but I saw more interracial relationships when I came down south. I didn't see that in New York. I saw the most interracial you was gonna get was Puerto Ricans and Black people, right? And even then, that don't even seem like it's interracial. That's like, oh, she's Black, I'm Black.
Same people.
Same people, right? Unless you get some of them Dominicans who act like they ain't part of the situation. You be like, really? Like, yeah, look at your hair, you know. So
right.
So I believe that right. So, but you know, the black people who do subscribe to certain racist behaviors, like you was talking about earlier, when you think about those who overly embrace the white power structure to help leverage their own success and kind of alienate the people that look like them, that's the part where it gets real dangerous, because those people, when you get into the idea of, you know, all skin folk ain't your kinfolk perception, right? That's what it creates, because you tend to be more honest and open with people who look like you and who you perceive to come from a similar background, and you realize, like you talk about code switching, they not only code switch, they switch their whole life to embrace an ideology that was propagated upon us through oppression, even use of the words that we use, the word nigga. Like, think about our first episode, we going crazy with the word, and that's something that I don't even use really in my everyday life. And that's a tool of oppression. The code switching is a tool of oppression, and just trying to speak proper in interviews, that's tools of oppression, to say that you are less than what the power structure say is the power structure, and that's those whose skin are more fair. So when you talk about behaviors that, I guess, confirm or just uphold this perception of white is right, or any particular race is better than ours, that is racist behavior. But us being able to be the vehicle for racism to exist is not Black people. That's just impossible for us to have.
Right. But so we can definitely further the agenda of it by subscribing to the ideals of it. Right.
Absolutely. I agree with that.
So to answer it for like emphatically, Black people cannot be racist, but we can subscribe to racist ideas. But my caveat, poor white people cannot be racist either. They just subscribe to racist ideas. If you don't have the means to oppress, you cannot be racist.
But they have more access to the means to oppress. So for me, it's just a matter of them getting the opportunity, because we've seen that happen many a times where because you have that complexion with the connection, so to speak, you can be elevated into a position where now you can have access to those tools to oppress, and you would be more willing to oppress people than a Black person would, because no matter how high on the hierarchy chain we get, they're never going to give us the tools to oppress anybody. It's just not going to happen.
If anybody except our own.
What do you mean?
So think about Steven from Django.
Okay, you saying they're not?
He had the means. He had the access to the power structure enough to oppress his own people.
Okay, but it's not going to be to oppress anybody else but his own people.
Yeah. Oh no, he wasn't ordering white people around.
Right, because
he was advising.
In order to get to that level, you have to be trusted enough to.
So, bro, if they did an origin story on Steven, imagine the heinous shit this dude did.
Oh yeah, he was wild, man. But you think about people like Clarence Thomas and those guys who gets into those positions of power, and they double down. Like, you in a position to really make a difference, but not just Black people, but just Americans, period. And for you to even go along with the nonsense of
who put him there?
Whew, I don't remember.
Bush 1 put him there. How long was he a judge before he was a Supreme Court justice?
I don't recall.
11 months.
Is that how long? And then he went
Yes,
through
sir.
the thing with Anita Hill, and he still got put into position. Yeah, it's Ooh, we'll have to get into politics at some point during the course of our podcast life. But that's more of a conversation we certainly want to be more prepared to have conversations about.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Don't want to speak off the cuff about it. Listen, man, this second episode, I love it. I love where we went with it. I love that we were in pocket with our behavior. I love that everybody's microphones were so crisp and pristine. And
so you would say I was a good Christian and you was a good Muslim?
I would say so. That we didn't throw any
B-Code,
stones,
just like the picture, was in between.
He's Switzerland. He kept things.
Switzerland.
He was Switzerland today. In between. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. You know he ain't got he out of control, man. So look, man, I look forward to the next episode. This is another amazing, brilliant conversation here on the Trial Run podcast.
Yes, sir.
I am hasangodking, Creole King Music. They call me great, and we'll see you next time. If the trial run hasn't expired by then. Because any day we get up might be the last day we do.
Might be the last episode.
All right,
we're gonna be like the Wayans brothers. We ain't getting no final episode.
No, ain't no final episode. It's gonna be like the Soprano
fade
episode.
The black. Yeah.
Absolutely, man. I'll see y'all next time for sure.
Peace.